Ananes Exomologiste tokirioti agathos alleluia
Otis ton neona to eleos aftu alleluia
Exomologiste to theon alleluia
Otis ton neona to eleos aftu alleluia
Exomologiste tokirion alleluia
Otis ton neona to eleos aftu alleluia
Laudas pe Domnul că este bun Domnul, aleluia, că în veac e mila lui, zicând aleluia.
Lăudați pe Dumnezeul Dumnezeilor, Aliluia, că în veac e mila Lui, zicând Aliluia.
Laudați pe Domnul domnilor, aleluia, că în veac e mila lui, zicând aleluia.
Feeling colors, tasting light, we touched upon the idea that Albert Einstein had problems with some of the implications of quantum mechanics, and specifically the idea that observing a particle here might be able to instantaneously affect the observations of another entangled particle far away, even on the other side of the universe. To show that he thought this sounded more like superstition than science, he called such implications spooky. On the same subject, in my book, I talked about the entanglement experiments of physicist Nicholas Geisen and his team at the University of Geneva. And I'll quote now, "Entanglement is easily explained within the dimensional concepts we're now exploring. We can imagine that these atoms are still directly connected or somehow directly adjacent to each other in a higher spatial dimension, even though they may be, for example, 11 kilometers away from each other in the third dimension, as they were in the entanglement experiment conducted by Nicholas Geisen and his team at the University of Geneva in 1997. With entanglement, it seems possible that we are seeing direct evidence of actions in higher dimensional geometry that show how time is just another spatial dimension rather than a separate concept. And from our new perspective, we have another way to show that Einstein's concepts regarding no faster than light motion are not being violated. In my poll 46, Is the Big Bang an Illusion? And 47, Are Pictures More Important in Science? We return to an idea from Stephen Hawking that there is an important part of our reality which is at right angles to our space-time. While he used the term imaginary time to refer to this, I've tried to show that what he's really talking about is the fifth spatial dimension. And this fits into so many other ways that science is talking about where our reality comes from that I'm continually amazed that I appear to be the only one talking about how this concept makes these ideas fit together. With entanglement, two particles can be widely separated, and observing one of those particles causes the other entangled particle to instantly be affected by the first observation. entry called "You Are a Point at the Center of Space-Time." And this relates to a blog entry published a few months ago called "You Are the Point." It shows various ways of thinking about how you or I are each right at the center of our own version of the space-time universe, smack dab in the middle of the gigantic space-time bubble that physicists call the cosmological horizon. With this entry, I showed how this way of thinking can be extended up and down through the dimensions. And as we said last time in Flow and the Now, all of these different seemingly incompatible approaches make sense when we accept the conclusion that our now is really a constantly moving series of points within the fifth dimension. Each point is causally connected to the next, but the probability space of the fifth dimension shows us that there are always a huge number of potential what happens next points that we can't connect to from any particular position within our 5D space-time tree. One thing people have trouble wrapping their heads around is the idea that with each new point, it seems that the number of possible versions of our universe is increasing exponentially. This is not as daunting as it seems. Because all of these points are causally connected, with each new frame, there are always a certain number of what happens next points, which cease to become available because of the outcome that has just been observed. This is just as true at the tiny quantum level as it is up here in the macro world, because the two are really all part of a single continuum. To use a macro world example, if I lose my leg in a car accident, there are suddenly a huge number of
is to dance until our body becomes space. And of course, when the body is space, the emotion are space, the bodily impression are space, and even the mind could be space. So this mystical dance is a very complete yoga that does not require any hatha yoga practice. It's nearly disappearing now because it's only practiced by the yogis and yogini from the Himalayas. So there are very few people who receive this teaching. It's a beautiful teaching because it integrates the whole scope of life, which is basically the idea of Tantra, that we should integrate every sensation, every emotion, every feeling into the part. So the mystical path is something that is completely linked to life itself and not separate from life. Tandava, the dance of Shakti and Shiva, is a mystical dance that will reconcile every impression, every emotion, every thought with the mystical path, which is the aim of Tantra, to have one universe where everything is in there. So it's a very round practice, a very feminine practice. The Shakti is there all the time, and it's just an integration of the body and the space that leads to spontaneity and freedom.